From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Adeshawa Josh. Our top stories tonight. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara barred from gaining access into the State Assembly complex as the political crisis in the state continues unabated. PDP's National Working Committee attends closed-door meeting in Abuja, marking its first since the Supreme Court judgment on its executive. And Ukraine war tops agenda as G7 foreign ministers meet in Canada. In business, Africa Development Bank partners International Institute on Tropical Agriculture on $27 million agriculture transformation.
And in sport, Nigeria's Amadou Pinnick loses seat on FIFA Council, falling short in the election at the CAF Extraordinary Congress in Cairo.
Welcome, everybody. Tonight begins right now. We begin tonight in Rivers State, where Governor Siminalayi Fubara was barred from entering the State House of Assembly residential quarters, where the Martin Amawule-led lawmakers have been meeting since the Assembly complex was demolished in 2023. A tense standoff ensued on Wednesday as security personnel locked the gates, blocking the governor's convoy from entering the Assembly's residential quarters. The lawmakers say they received no official communique informing them of the governor's visit. But Governor Fubara insists he informed Speaker Martin Amawule of his visit in a letter where he declared his intention to come represent the 2025 budget in accordance with the Supreme Court ruling.
You can see that the place is completely sealed and there is no sign that anything is going to happen today. The reason why we're doing this, I've always said it, is the interests of our people, which is the most important thing. Well, I don't think there's anything to worry about. Maybe they're working on their letter. I expect to hear from them maybe after this hour. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and the former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has refuted claims that any attempts to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara will destabilize the state. Wike says the lawmakers can impeach Governor Fubara if he's found guilty of any impeachable offense. He was speaking during a media briefing in Abuja on Wednesday.
If you have committed an offense to be impeached, what is wrong? Is it a criminal offense? It's provided in the Constitution.
You can't just wait till 2027 to vote him out.
Am I a member of the Assembly? The point I'm making, if you have committed an infraction of the Constitution, and the Assembly deems it fit to say you should be impeached, let me tell you, politics is not played just like this. Is it the first person that people have threatened about impeachment? Don't you know what to do? What is all this hula value that they will impeach? And let me tell you, and I have heard people say, oh, if they impeach him, there will be breakdown of law and order. Rubbish. Hold on, rubbish. Nonsense, which is just nonsense. Listen, nonsense. Rubbish. Tell me who are the militants? Who is not a militant? Who is born as a militant? No, tell me the person that's born, the day you were giving birth, they say you're a militant. Who is not a militant?
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has urged Governor Siminalayi Fubara to swiftly implement the Supreme Court judgment which recognized the 27 lawmakers loyal to the former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike as the legitimate legislators of the Assembly. He made this call while meeting with some elders of the state and the Pan-Niger Delta Forum at the State House in Abuja on Tuesday. The president expressed confidence in the judiciary and encouraged the forum to ensure the governor enforces the court's decision to restore peace in the state.
Foremost among our concerns is the escalating political crisis in Rivers State, which poses a significant threat to national stability. Despite your fatherly efforts to mediate between the parties involved, the situation continues to deteriorate due to conflicting and contradictory court rulings. This protracted conflict is a matter of grave concern as Rivers State is a strategic economic hub, particularly in the oil and gas sector, which we all know is the backbone of our national revenue.
This is a nation of rule of law. I should not be here as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria if there's no rule of law. I have total confidence in our judiciary. Expectations. Human beings can make errors. But when we say Supreme Court is spoken, that's it. Please go back home and help him implement those recommendations within the shortest possible time.
And responding to the president, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara says he's ready and committed to implementing the Supreme Court judgment on the ongoing political crisis. The governor says his primary focus has always been to protect the interests of the state, as he expressed regret over the substantial financial losses incurred during the political stalemate. For more on this story, Osigwe Momo, a legal practitioner and public commentator, joins me now from Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
As a legal practitioner, how would you interpret what's going on in Rivers State?
I think we should all be happy as Nigerians first of all. The governor of Rivers State was practically turning the entire state to a theater of absurdity. The House of Assembly is a representative body. I don't think any right-thinking person can, come up with a statement that four people can represent the entire Rivers State. And that's what he was doing. He was making decisions, implementing decisions from four people to represent the state. It was painful to watch this period. And I'm not trying to say he's a bad man or Wike is a good man. I don't care. Let's just focus on the laws and the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is that the entire state has been a theater of absurdity. And for some reasons, people were just mute. And now the court has come, the Federal High Court first of all, the Court of Appeal, and now the Supreme Court have laid credence to what every right-thinking person should have said, that there is no way four people can act as the state House of Assembly. I think it was offensive that I tried that in the first place. We all should be happy that decorum and semblance of organization is coming back to that state in the first place.
Right. So, but then, thank you for laying the foundation, or taking us back to how we got to this point. But now, as of what happened today, what do you make of it?
No, I think what we are seeing right now is an obvious fact that the governors, if I'm going to bet, if I'm a betting man, I would say it's ex-governor. It's absolutely no way it's not going to be impeached. It's quite simple. They have the numbers. That's 27 against 4. One. Secondly, has he committed gross misconduct? Would you say bringing down a state House of Assembly complex, wasting the resources of the people of Rivers State? Would you say that's gross misconduct? He had the cards and he played his card and he lost. In the words of Donald Trump, the cards are not yours anymore, I'm afraid. Right now, if he's in the office more than 90 days, at best, if he's in our office for 100 days, that means Wike and his factions are magnanimous.
Right.
Again, I'm not supporting A or B. I'm just saying from the fact of the ground, he has played his card. There's no point of him trying to make this right now. He's lost everything, and let's expect. My prediction is that he's going out. He's the out governor, the former governor of the state. And we shouldn't be sympathetic. We shouldn't be sympathetic for him. There is no saint and demon here. These are men who were together 8 years of Wike. So all of a sudden, you're a saint. Explain how Wike is a devil and you're a saint. You worked for him for 8 years. It's the same 10 and 10 pairs.
Let me come in here quickly, Osigwe. How then, what do you make of the governor showing up at the Assembly complex. It's been said that that quarters is a residential quarters since the main house of Assembly complex was demolished in 2023. These people have been meeting in a place that is supposed to be a residential building. So one of the reasons why, and they said that the letter that was reportedly sent to them notifying them of the governor's visit, that they didn't receive it, but the governor showed up anyway. Are there any procedural rules guiding the president's visit to the assembly, and is it in breach of that rule?
Absolutely, the governor has a right, he's still the governor right now, for any sitting. But they are saying, well, they didn't get the message at the end of the day. And, you know, it's almost like karma. Karma is coming back. You cannot argue completely that that's where they are sitting, you know, because practically it has been demolished. So at the moment now, the governor's card is because he has a constitutional right to be at the meeting if he informs them. But we've also had what Governor Wike said, or ex-Governor Wike saying that the letter went out through his SSG and there was a slide to the speaker as it were, and the speaker is claiming ignorance. And to be honest, I don't think the speaker can claim ignorance. All he can say is that, well, we don't have a complex right now, so we've not started sitting right now. And it's karma, because we all know what happened to the complex. So I think it's just karma. There's no legal route for Governor Simi Fubara at this moment. I'm just quite sad to say, no legal route for him. He just played the wrong card. I think he shouldn't have fought the way, you know, he should have fought with decorum.
Yeah, I mean, I would like us to take the conversation forward now, because we all know what led to this point, and it's just quite obvious to see what the lawmakers appear to be doing. I'm just trying to see if there are any legal loopholes in what they've done so far. What do you think the game plan is then for these 27 lawmakers?
Yes, like I said before, I think their plan is clear. They are planning to impeach the governor. That's what I can say boldly.
And is there a way for Fubara to wiggle out of these impending impeachment?
Say that again.
Do you see Fubara wiggle out of this impending alleged impeachment plan? I mean, alleged impeachment plan.
Only one way. The only way out for him. Yes. And I don't think it's alleged anymore. We can see the scripts out here. They are showing their cards. They are not hiding it. Clearly, the denial of him coming today is the same script. The only way out is if he plays back to Governor Wike. Sad as it may, that's his only option out to try and make peace with Governor Wike. Maybe using the instrumentality of the president. But don't forget, the president intervened before and it didn't solve the problem. So it's just one of those things. Let's hope we get to a climb whereby politicians will stick with the rules, try not to break the law. Even if you're trying to do something good, the destroying of that house, I think that was just too much. There's no way out for him. That fact alone, I'm just saying that fact alone is gross misconduct. No court can rule otherwise.
Right.
Otherwise, we would have gone to court to say, hey, what have I done? This is not gross misconduct. And I don't think there's any court that will say, demolition of the national or the state house of assembly complex was not a gross misconduct.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there tonight. Right. Thank you so much, Osigwe Momo, a legal practitioner, for your thoughts tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And still talking politics, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, led by Umar Damagum, convened its first physical meeting since 2024 to address pressing party matters. This gathering was significant as it marked the first meeting since the Supreme Court dismissed a motion to stay the execution of a High Court judgment, effectively removing Senator Samuel Anyanwu as the National Secretary and replacing him with Sunday Ude Okoye. Although the agenda remained undisclosed, sources revealed that discussions focused on preparations for the upcoming Anambra governorship election and the pending Supreme Court ruling on the National Secretary position. However, the meeting was nearly disrupted by loyalists of Senator Anyanwu who attempted to block the entrance to the PDP National Secretariat, but security forces swiftly intervened. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday met with Mudashiru Obasa, Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, and other lawmakers at the presidential villa in Abuja. The closed-door meeting sparked intense interest, but Obasa remained tight-lipped when approached by journalists. Although the meeting's agenda was not publicly disclosed, sources suggest it was linked to the ongoing leadership crisis within the Lagos State House of Assembly. Obasanjo's impeachment by his colleagues and subsequent reinstatement on March the 3rd, following intervention by political stakeholders, have been at the center of the crisis. Unconfirmed reports hint that some lawmakers may have apologized to Obasanjo over his impeachment. Let's take a short break now. When we come back, we'll take a look at more stories. To stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. I'm Adeshawa Josh. A reminder of our top stories. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara barred from gaining access into the State Assembly complex as the political crisis in the state continues unabated. PDP's National Working Committee attends closed-door meeting in Abuja, marking its supreme first since the Supreme Court judgment on its executive. And Ukraine war tops agenda as G7 foreign ministers meet in Canada. President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Tulia Axin, has assured Nigerian Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan that her suspension from the Nigerian Senate will be thoroughly investigated. Axin's assurance comes in response to Akpoti-Uduaghan's appeal to the IPU and the United Nations, citing her suspension as unjust. The senator alleged that her suspension resulted from a petition she filed against Senate President Godswill Akpabio, accusing him of sexual harassment. Axin acknowledged the severity of the issue and assured that the IPU would hear both sides before taking a stance. Now, let's take a look at this story with Dr. Ndidi Nwaneri, global ethics and social justice scholar. She joins me from Minnesota, United States. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It's such a pleasure. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
What do you make of Senator Natasha going to the IPU to seek help to address her suspension from the Nigerian Senate?
An internal issue. Okay, so we have to remember something. First of all, the IPU cannot enforce anything, right? It's an association. The best way I can describe it to Nigerians is that it's an association of parliamentary members. Membership is completely voluntary. So for instance, it's located in the US technically, but the US parliamentarians or senators and House members are not members. They don't participate, right? For whatever reasons, complicated, long-winded reasons. Another thing is that generally, when you present a case, so the IPU is interested in things like, it's a cooperative organization. It says it wants to increase gender participation in parliamentary activities. It wants to reduce the age of people that are involved in politics. So all over the world, parliamentarians are maybe less than 30% of them are less than 40 years old. So it is involved in things like that, but it remains voluntary. It doesn't have a military force to enforce what it decides or what it suggests, for instance. So what could be the purpose? So there are two ways to look at this. Why did she do what she did? Why did she go there?
Why?
Now, I understand that there's a lot of controversy around these issues. I'd like to appeal to my listeners to notice my nuance. I am not going to go into whether or not the sexual harassment issue happened or not. I am not going to go into the legal proceedings. That has been flogged to death. I am going to look at what this move means. What does this move mean for someone like me who is committed to social justice in Nigeria, people who are interested in ethics, justice, and generally improving the playing field for minorities in Nigeria, including women? What does this mean? Now, what she has done is taken this issue to the global arena. Basically, it's like we're all members of an association, global association, and I'm just going to go there and say what is going on. Now, traditionally, cases that are heard from parliamentarians in the IPU are human rights abuses. Now, I'm talking about maybe the opposition of some party no, the ruling party, for instance, shooting a parliamentarian in front of the parliament building, disappearing a parliamentarian because he criticized the government, etc., etc. You cannot bring a case to them directly. Generally, it's family members, individuals in all of these countries that come and present cases. Now, what has she done by presenting this case? She has taken this case to the global arena. And that means that, so in Nigeria, if we're going to be very honest, there's the way things are done. Human rights and the legal rights of people, sometimes when you encounter power, you run into serious problems, right? You cannot move beyond, I mean, more often than not, legal systems are compromised. And we see in this case, people have mentioned it in Nigeria, that if you are the leader of the Senate, and there's a case against you, the honorable thing to do, if you have integrity, is to step aside and say, okay, let us look at this matter. I'm going to disgrace my accuser, and I'm going to find people who are not involved in the case to address this matter. That has not happened. So she has taken the case there. She's not going to get any legal, I mean, nothing from the IPU is legally or physically enforceable. But this will make us be scrutinized. When I say us, I mean we Nigerians. Our legal system will now be scrutinized by a collection of the parliamentarian peers. Right. They're going to now look at us with scrutiny. Right. Now, I don't know how this is going to pan out. Can she withdraw this case? No. Whatever it is they do, if you look at the decisions of the IPU, it boils down to recommendations, right? So maybe the purpose of this is to embarrass the people she's accusing, the House in general, and Nigeria in a broader sense. Now, what does this mean for me as a woman operating within a society like that? What it means is that whether or not, again, I want to emphasize, whether or not this actually happened, that's not the issue. The issue is, what is the climate of addressing issues like sexual harassment in Nigeria? That's right. It's now going to, so we're going to move away from business as usual to an extent. To an extent, even if it did not happen, let me even look at it from the perspective of it didn't happen, she's just making up stories, she wants to embarrass him, she had an affair, we've had all sorts of things, right? Even if that is the case, we now know that goldfish have no hiding place. Whatever it is that comes up, both accuser and accused, there's a global environment looking at you. That's right. If that is the only thing we're going to get from this, I think it's progress in an interesting way, but time will tell. But I can assure you the IPU cannot enforce anything. They can only make recommendations and observe. Dr. Waneri, you have, it feels like you have a cheat sheet. You have taken all of my questions and answered it in one breath. But before I let you go, my question then would be, how significant is this move in a month where we're celebrating women, at a time where the CSW is celebrating its 30th year, marking the Beijing Declaration on Women? What she did, and I was explaining this to someone just last night, is how strategic she has played this in its entirety. And just like you said, nothing may come out of this, but everyone is now looking. I just want you to talk through the significance of it before I let you go. Okay. So that is very interesting. That is very, very valid. And I'm glad you caught the nuance of what I'm trying to say. So this is a very valid question given the context. So the question now is, what does it mean? Let me rephrase your question. What does this mean for women in general, given the context under which we have to work and operate and live in Nigeria? What does this mean? Thank you. Now, you do not become a senator in Nigeria if you're not very smart. You have to be a strategic thinker before you can get to the position that this lady got to. So this is a very, very strategic move, in the sense that now we're going to be looking at, okay, as I emphasized, whether or not it happened, how loud is the voice of one of three, or is it one of four senators, female senators in Nigeria? How much can she speak? How well can she be heard? And that directly impacts how well you and I could possibly be heard. We can't run away from that. So she goes to a global arena and she says something. In other words, she's maintaining her stance. That move is saying, If I could be heard in my country, I will not be here. At the very least, that is what she's saying. And she said something that is significant on the floor. She said a group of powerful men are trying to stop me from speaking. And that is also significant. Now, a lot of people in Nigeria, we like to operate in denial about our reality. So what she has succeeded in doing by this act is emphasizing that, one, she did not have a conducive environment to discuss our issues. Now, when we talk about gender in Nigeria, sometimes we talk about, we use lame terminology like empowerment, women's empowerment. We're empowering women. They're very, very lame. Is my voice as loud as a man's own? Because in every relationship, there will be conflict. Whether it's sexual or not, whether it's power-based or not, there will be conflict. Now, the question I want to ask Nigerians, and that is the question that comes up, is why is a parliamentarian going all the way to the US to speak? Does she have a speaking platform where she's coming from? If she had a speaking platform, would it be necessary for her to go there? So obviously, this impacts you, my host, as a professional. It impacts me as a professional. What is our terrain? If this is the only question that is raised by this act, she has succeeded in raising a valid question. That is my opinion. But again, controversial issue, interesting issue, but let's see how it pans out.
All right then. Dr. Ndidi Nwaneri, global ethics and social justice scholar. I particularly had a great time listening to you on this topic. Thank you for coming on tonight, and good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's take another break. When we come back, we have more stories in business, sports, and entertainment. Do stay with us. Controversies swirled around the Amazon Prime movie Gangs of Lagos, produced by Jade Osiberu, with many accusing the filmmakers of disrespecting a revered Lagos tradition, the Isaleko Descendants Union, which took offense at the movie's portrayal of Eyo and Isaleko, and the issue ended up in court. Tonight, we have an exclusive report on the outcome of that battle and what it means for cultural sensitivity in Nigeria's film industry. News Central's correspondent Matthew Oluola has the story.
Nigeria's commercial capital, a city steeped in rich cultural heritage. In its beauty and splendor, a controversy erupted over the depiction of one of Lagos' most revered traditions in the Amazon Prime movie Gangs of Lagos.
Kadara, destiny. Who decides where we are born, the life we have?
The movie's portrayal of Eyo and Isaleko was deemed disrespectful and inaccurate, sparking outrage among the Isaleko community.
I am one of those who actually escalate the vehement condemnation of that film because it portrays Lagos culture as murderous culture, for that matter, through the Adamo Orisha. Those who were behind the film, Gang of Lagos, went to the extent of using an Adamo Orisha to go into somebody's house and like a night marauder, bringing out a very big gun and started shooting. That is a desecration of the culture of the people of Lagos Island.
The Isaleko Descendants Union took swift action, dragging the movie producers to court. After a lengthy battle, the parties have reached a settlement, with the producers agreeing to apologize for the desecration of Lagos culture. The settlement has been seen as a victory for Isaleko community, who have fought tirelessly to protect their cultural heritage.
Beyond just condemning it, the people of Awadimu took a further step to ensure that such film will never, see the light of the day in the future. And they will be right. They sought the Order of Lagos permission to ensure that such thing will never happen again. And you can see everybody in Isaleko and even Lagos State rising in unison to condemn such films.
The controversy surrounding gangs of Lagos serves as a reminder of the importance of cultural sensitivity and accuracy in our storytelling. It's a lesson that extends far beyond the film industry to the very heart of our cultural identity.
It's Lagos and Lagos is Eyo. For creative, we just need to do more research and don't wrongly depict anything that is cultural in our movies. We just need to be sensitive to it.
Lagos, a city of rich cultural heritage where tradition and progress meet. A city that reminds us of the power of storytelling. While this beams as a victory for the people of Isaleko, it is curious to ask, what does it mean for the rising Nollywood industry and new partnerships bringing funds to the industry?
Yeah, the Gangs of Lagos was produced by Jade Osiberu, and the report you just listened to was compiled by Matthew Olunola. Let's get out of our shores right now to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Human Rights Watch said that journalists are facing serious abuses from the Rwanda-backed M23 rebel group. M23 has in recent weeks taken swathes of eastern DRC, giving the armed group a major foothold in the mineral-rich region since taking up arms again in late 2021. It is the latest outbreak of violence in an area that has seen some 3 decades of unrest and war, claiming millions of lives. The Human Rights Watch says around 200 activists have sought protection since the offensive in eastern Congo escalated, with journalists and activists facing home raids and death threats. HRW senior researcher Clementine, in a statement, said that many journalists and activists are trapped in Goma and live in constant fear. G7 foreign ministers on Wednesday met in Canada to discuss moves to halt the Russia-Ukraine war, but U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio disregarded questions about a prospective American takeover of the host country. Rubio headed to Quebec after meeting Ukrainian officials in the Saudi city of Jeddah to discuss an initial ceasefire. He said he wanted the club of industrial democracies to recognize that the United States has done a good thing for the world after Kyiv backed a U.S. proposed 30-day truce with Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the United States would issue a strong response and pressure Moscow if it did not agree to halt conflict.
The perfect statement would be that the United States has done a good thing for the world in bringing this process forward, and now we all eagerly await the Russian response and urge them strongly to consider ending all hostilities so people will stop dying, so bullets will stop flying, and so a process can begin to find a permanent peace. I think the first step in all this is the acceptance that there is no military solution to this conflict. The only way this conflict can end is through negotiation. That's the only way you're going to have peace, is through negotiation. And so we need to start that process. And it is hard to start a process when people are shooting at each other and people are dying. And so our hope is that we can stop that, all these hostilities, and get to a negotiating table where both sides, over some period of time with a lot of hard work, can find a mutually acceptable outcome.
Money talks after the short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Joanna from our business desk joins me now with the latest in business news. Joanna, what do we have tonight?
I mean, we're looking forward to talking about the partnership that African Development Bank is bringing to the non-oil sector. We need more productivity there, so we'll get into that after this break.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
President Bola Tinubu has nominated Melvin Ayogu to the board of the Central Bank of Nigeria and has requested Senate confirmation for the appointment. This announcement was made in a statement on Wednesday by the Special Advisor to Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga. And the African Development Bank and International Institute of Tropical Agriculture on Wednesday signed the $27 million agreement to finance the technologies for African Agriculture Transformation Phase II program. Dr. Abdul Kamara, the Director General, Nigeria AfDB Group, said this at the signing ceremony and stated that the agreement aligns with its Feed Africa strategy, which seeks to boost smallholder farmers' productivity and enhance food security. He said that the additional financing built on the $40 million provided for the Phase I of TAAT would focus on expanding access to agriculture technologies for over 40 million smallholder farmers across the continent. And the Bank of Canada has cut its key policy rates by 25 basis points to 2.75% on Wednesday, citing concerns over a new crisis due to U.S. tariff imposed by President Trump. Governor Tiff McClem warned that the tariff could severely impact the economy, causing instability and affecting consumer confidence. The bank has now reduced rates 7 times in 9 months, totaling 225 basis points. It emphasized the need for careful assessment of inflation pressures and the economic outlook amid ongoing trade tensions. And coming now to the local bourse, the NGX sell-off persists over the past 2 trading sessions. Today we lost 48 billion naira, and I mean that puts the cumulative for the week to about 333 billion naira lost on the NGX. Market capitalization now sits at 66.43 trillion, still a far cry from the goal of 100 trillion this year, but we'll see what happens. All share index 106,090.38, and we're down about 7 basis points today. Coming to sectoral performances, the sole winning index today happens to be the banking sector. That's largely due to buy interest in GTCO. Insurance is down. Consolidated Hallmark drove it down to 0.22%. Oil and gas also down. We're talking about sell-offs in Kono, one of the top decliners today, driving the markets down, or that index down to 0.56%. Consumer goods also down thanks to Dangote Sugar, and industrial goods is flat. That's it on business tonight. Tonight continues with Adeshewa. I am Joanna Mustafa.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome back. We have Favor from our sports desk with the latest sports stories. Favor, former NFF President Amaju Pinnick has lost a FIFA Council elections.
Yes, of course, sad day for Nigeria, sad day for Amaju Pinnick right there in Cairo. Loses his re-election into one of the positions in the FIFA Council seat. Many more after this timeout.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Nigeria's candidate, Amaju Melvin Pinnick, narrowly failed to retain his FIFA Council seat, losing by a single vote at the poll that took place as part of the 14th CAF Extraordinary Congress in Cairo, Egypt on Wednesday. The former NFF president scored 28 votes, only one short of both Ahmed Yahya of Mauritania and Suleiman Hassan Waberi of Djibouti, who each scored 29 votes to make it extended panel. Expectedly, Morocco's Fawzi Legja swept 49 votes, with Egypt's Hani Abu Rida and Niger Republic's Jibrila Hima Amidou netting 35 votes each. Legja, Rida, Amidou, Yaya, and Wabiri will be joined by CAF President Patrice Motsepe, who of course went unopposed for his second term as Africa's representatives at the FIFA Council, alongside Kanizat Ibrahim from the Comoros Island, who collected the women's seat by scoring 30 votes. Still talking about the CAF Extraordinary Congress, Patrice Motsepe has been re-elected unopposed as president of the Confederation of African Football for his second four-year term. The decision was confirmed at the 14th CAF Extraordinary General Assembly in Cairo on Wednesday, extending his leadership at the organization until 2029. Motsepe's re-election comes after a first term widely praised for stabilizing CAF's finances and boosting its global profile. Now, under his leadership, the organization set several new records at the Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire 2023, attracting a record 1.4 billion viewers worldwide. Also, Cameroon FA President Samuel Eto'o was elected to the CAF Executive Committee by acclamation in Cairo on Wednesday, as he was the lone candidate from the Central African region. The 44-year-old became eligible only last week after the Court of Arbitration for Sport (CAS) overturned a CAF ban on the ex-Inter Milan forward.
Things that we are doing as African football is to present the case, to persuade, to convince, to make governments, to make heads of state understand that investing in a stadium, spending money on football development, investing in football infrastructure is enormously beneficial for the country, for the people of those countries, and for the economic development of Africa.
And back to Nigeria, the draw for this year's President Federation Cup has set the stage for some thrilling early matchups, with former champions Enugu Rangers International and Kano Pillars clashing in the round of 64 in the men's competition. Meanwhile, in the women's event, last year's finalists Niger Rattles will face off against Bayelsa Queens in the round of 32. These high-stakes encounters promise to deliver intense action right from the start of the tournament. All matches will take place on Wednesday, the 19th of March, 2025. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itua. Tonight continues.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
And it's time for entertainment news, and Edewa joins me now with the latest. Lots of stories about movies. Edewa, what do we have?
Yeah, the gangs of Lagos taking the center stage, being the situation around it recently, how the settlement has been made and the apology has been put out there. But a couple of Nigerians still have their own part to say about that, but I'll definitely show you all that shortly.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
All right, now let's jump right in. In recent development, the producers of Gang of Lagos and Amazon Prime have been issued formal apologies for misrepresentation. I'm talking about the Ayo masquerade in the film Gangs of Lagos. Now, this follows a settlement approved by the Lagos High Court, which required the producers and Amazon Web Services to apologize to the Saleko Descendants Union for the portrayal of the Ayo masquerade as a gun-wielding villain. Now, the film, released in April 2023, was criticized for this depiction. Now, the Saleko Union's chairman, Adeniji Kazim, SAN, hailed the court's decision as a victory for cultural preservation and called for stricter censorship of films using cultural elements. Now, we have a couple of tweets that some Nigerians had to say reacting to this. At Olua Toyi Fem says, "How I wish the court order came with a heavy fine." Okay, let's see if we can get another tweet there. It said, "The apology is not enough. A hefty fine should also have been imposed to serve as a deterrent to others." Now let's check out another tweet, and this says, well, a disclaimer would avert this kind of occurrence next time. Well, these are what Nigerians are saying, reacting to the apology that was released recently. So Adisha, what do you think? Do you think an apology was okay, or do you think they would have given a fine so that it won't repeat itself?
I mean, how much have they made from this movie?
So you want a piece of that? What do you think?
What I'm saying is, you know...
Say your mind.
I'm basically saying that we don't know how much this movie has grossed yet, and then asking them to pay a fine. But that does not excuse the lack of due diligence, which I feel like this is what this legal case is going to bring in the future. When you're telling a story, it is important to do research, you know, even if it is for entertainment purposes. And I'm not saying that the producers didn't do a proper research, but now in hindsight, they probably see the loopholes in their process. Probably. And so anyone else who's going to tell a story, an African story, will not just do, you know, slapdash and think it's just going to fly.
True that.
More people will pay attention to details like that.
That's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right. All right, so let's talk about...
An apology is okay, I think.
Right?
Next time you get to pay a fine.
Next time they get to pay a fine, yes. First-time offenders. So let's talk about this one now. Omoni Oboli's romantic drama, Love Is in Every Word, is back on YouTube. Now, this movie was taken down from YouTube due to copyright disputes. Now, premiering March 7, 2025, the film had already accumulated over 7 million views in just 4 days, making it Omoni Oboli's first stream to have that amount of streams, you know, first movie ever to have that amount of streams on the platform. Now, the takedown occurred on March 11 after a copyright claim from Chinonso Obiora, that's Skyberry, but the issue was quickly resolved, and she went on social media to thank her fans for the support and announced that the film has returned back on there, and it's gaining more momentum because people are now going to see the film that was so, you know, had all that conversation, and right now it's gained over 8 million views. So now, still talking about due diligence, you know, the copyright issue would have also been averted if they made sure they checked, you know, every loophole as well.
Wait, I don't understand. Somebody comes up and tells YouTube that this is my intellectual property.
Yes.
And while they're investigating it, the first thing they do is pull down the video.
That's what.
And then the accused presents proof that I haven't touched your stuff, and then they put it back.
Yes.
I don't understand. Do you know how many people can come up with that kind of thing and say, you stole my stuff, and then I get yanked off just because someone accuses me?
Unfortunately,
is that actually what happened?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, that's how YouTube would respond to every situation like
Unbelievable.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, she has 8 million views now. I think the controversy worked, so let's see how far this will go. All right, well, that's all on entertainment tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Well, that's the news tonight. But before we go, here's a reminder of our top stories. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara barred from gaining access into the State Assembly complex as the political crisis in the state continues unabated. PDP's National Working Committee attends closed-door meeting in Abuja, marking its first since the Supreme Court judgment on its executive. And Ukraine war tops agenda as G7 foreign ministers meet in Canada. Remember, you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number coming up shortly on your screen. Follow us on all social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, AVO TV, and YouTube. We would like to thank you for watching. I am Adeshewa Josh. I'll see you around.